Sacks, not Goldman or a hobo bag. More of an homage to testosterone and sag. All these nut sacks up in my visage, it's about the verb. Getting wrecked, getting sacked, tactile pressure of being sandwiched between the field and a wild pack. Football's sacks are enough cause for distress, but once, twice, thrice, I get back up like getting hurt is my vice. I rest.
Welcome,
bitches.
Here is another episode of
Off the Dome Podcast.
your number one source for entertainment and buffoonery. And now, your hosts, Dizzy, Sweet Lou, Easy E, and Young C.
Okay, dramatic effect. All right.
Welcome to this week's. No. All right, go.
No, I wanted to talk about. I told you the year end.
You wanted to do a little
The
recap.
year end of the NFL
Right.
Mm-hmm.
because for two reasons. One, I wanted to get Lou's opinion.
Okay. Because suddenly he's an expert on the.
No, because
on all
he's a
things
dumbass,
football. Right.
and he doesn't know shit about it. So that's why I wanted to know.
I know
where he's
everything
coming
there is to know about it.
from. Exactly.
Ask
So
me any.
I
Ask
was
me.
referring to the glorious exchange that the two of you had last night on the
Yes,
group
because
chat.
I was sitting. I was like,
Ask me anything about it.
It was like one of the.
Ask me anything about the sport.
All right. It was 1 a.m, and I was sitting and I see the text, and I'm like, "You fucking infidel! You don't know shit." So I went off.
I told you. I
But
told you what happened.
No, you didn't fucking tell me what.
I told you.
No, actually, what you told me was, the Ravens are gonna go ham on them, and they didn't make it to the Ravens. But
Sure,
anyway,
but the Ravens would have. How did I say the Ravens were going to beat them? Run game.
I'm gonna fucking kill them. You know,
Run
you said
game.
they were gonna
Let's
how
go
they
two
gonna do it?
completely
Run
different
game.
plans.
Run
bro.
game, and they didn't beat them with the run game.
Who?
These guys couldn't score in the second half.
187 yards on the ground for Derrick Henry.
In the first half.
In the first half.
Yeah, I mean at that point it was fuck it.
No, it was
No.
only
Too
14
much.
points. And they were only down by 1 at halftime.
Sure.
It was 14-13.
Now, but imagine Lamar also.
That's what I-
Imagine Lamar and Ingram wombo combo.
That's
with a
what
run.
I'm telling you.
Right.
Nobody could run them. They were top 5 in the league in run defense, or top 5, top 6.
To be fair, everyone else was down for most of it because of the.
the things that they can't. And I had told him this because he hadn't seen him way back when, right? He's used to the growth.
Also, it just dawned on me that we never actually mentioned what game we're referring to. We're referring to the wild card matchup between the Titans and the Patriots.
Dolphins 2.0.
Dolphins 2.0.
I like it. He only saw the Gronk Patriots,
Right.
right?
The what?
The Gronk Patriots.
Oh, okay.
The ones that
The new
were
age.
blowing up, scoring 4 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
But all the rings they got before that, it was all defense.
I see.
And barely any offense. Matter of fact, they all won.
Brady was a glorified game manager
most of
for
them-
the first 3 championships.
Most of them they won by field goals, last minute field goals,
They had Vinatieri those first 3 actually.
right? So they weren't scoring a bunch of points. It wasn't until Moss got there that they were like that. They blew up.
Yeah.
But
And ironically, that offense never won a ring.
and they didn't win, right? Because they ran into the Giants.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, but
Imagine saying that unironically.
Yeah. Twice.
I know. It's just
they ran.
To the 9 and 7
You know,
Giants.
like the Giants they ran into the Knicks.
why
The
would
New
you?
York Giants, the NYG, they ran into the Knicks.
I'm just saying.
I have never made that connection in my life.
You know what?
Would you prefer that?
Yes, I would. I would prefer if ESPN said that.
Welcome to Off the Dome, everybody.
I would 1,000% prefer that.
So that's why I told you I was like that team is the defense that's gonna win them championship. It's the same defense from before, right? The problem that they had is that they couldn't score points. They scored 13 against Tennessee, and Tennessee was a bad matchup because it's Mike Vrabel, the coach.
Yeah.
So he went in there going, "This is what Brady's gonna do. This is what they're gonna do. This is what they're gonna do. This is how you're gonna defend." Because he was part of those 3 championships.
Yep. It was a
And
bad
he-
matchup overall because
And he's the guy always.
if you look at
against-
Belichick's record against his former coordinators and coaches and
or
stuff.
whatever.
It's actually like he actually has a really bad record against his former like coaches and stuff. So that could be a product of 100 different things, but you take into account that Vrabel was a player for that defense,
Right.
And faced Brady in practice.
He
every
knew the
practice.
tendencies already. He knew the game plan that Belichick and Brady, that they like to run.
Yeah.
And then you add to that the guy that had the game-sealing interception at the end was Logan Ryan, former quarterback of the New England Patriots, like 2 or 3 years ago. So it was a very bad matchup because everyone on that Tennessee defense had a lot of familiarity with that New England offense.
Yeah.
Then you couple that with the fact that you got this freaking wrecking ball in Derrick Henry that can just pick up first down, and just drain clock. So it's not necessarily that the Patriots had a running deficiency or a deficiency against the run on defense. It's just more so that like when you don't. I was telling you on the car ride over here, the Patriots have a very at least this year have been wildly successful because they're so aggressive on defense.
Right.
The way they do it, they'll send these 5 to 7 man blitzes, and they'll leave Stephon Gilmore 1-on-1. And if you throw in Gilmore's direction, he's going hard to whatever the wide receiver's giving him. So if he's giving an inside look, he's going straight for it. They have safety help, worst case scenario.
Right.
But Stephon Gilmore is one of the best in the league, and he tends to get that turnover more often than not. You talk about tipped balls, interceptions, turnovers were the bread and butter for that Patriots defense this year. The problem was that they couldn't get those type of aggressive, turnovers that they're used to because of the conservative play calling on offense by Tennessee.
Right.
Because when you're running the ball, 90% of the downs, there's no room. There's not as much room for error as if you had Tannehill dropping back and throwing a pass to Stephon Gilmore 8 out of the 10 times.
Right.
Like you said, there are a lot of games where the Patriots were up by a lot. So then come second half, the opponent
No one's gonna fucking run
has
it,
to
yeah.
throw. They have to throw to try and get in it. And against that defense, you're not going to do it because
Well,
they
they-
make you pay for it.
But they didn't have that many of those. That wasn't a powerful offense.
Well, first half of the
it?
year when they're 8-0.
First half of the year,
No,
wasn't
because
powerful.
the defense
It
was
wasn't
doing pick.
powerful.
It wasn't
They had
powerful.
weak
No,
offenses.
no, but
they had weak.
the defenses were getting pick six every match.
Right.
Correct.
Well, hold
For
on.
like 12 weeks.
The thing is, he's not wrong because if you look at the 8-0 record, it was against teams that all ended
Oh, yeah,
up
like
like
they were
less
all
than
trash.
500.
Yeah.
So it's not that the offense was necessarily better, but a mediocre offense was going against worse defenses.
A bad defense. Yeah, but that offense wasn't. And we said it at the beginning. This isn't the Super Bowl winning Patriots that you're seeing. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't that team because you saw the offense and you go, yeah, they're not. You know what I mean? They're going up against Cincinnati, so sure. But that's yeah. But the question is, what's your take? What have you learned from this year's NFL team, NFL season?
I have learned that Tom Brady will go out with a pick six as his final pass as a Patriot.
Oh, you think he's not coming back next year?
That's the Patriots.
So you think that team is?
I think if he does sign, he signs with a different team.
Bold take.
Yeah, that's bold.
It's a bold take, but that's the
So
take
you
I'm
think
take.
he's gonna play next year, but you think he's?
I think
it
I
won't
don't
be
know.
for the
I don't know if he'll play next year. I don't know if he'll hang up the boots. Common sense tells me he won't. He won't go out like this.
Right.
Tom Brady's way too competitive as
Well,
a
I
person.
think he already said that he wants to come back and he wants to play another year. And if I'm not mistaken, his comments seem to indicate that he wanted to stay in New England.
Really?
Is that's not an option? That's not a regular team that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Right. Like you're not looking at regular players and regular like Ronaldo and guys like that. Like you're looking at that's like a cult. Those guys, when one of those guys leaves, everybody else is leaving. Belichick is not staying without Brady. Brady's not going back without Belichick. Those guys are breaking that up.
Well, isn't there talks of Belichick maybe going somewhere else?
No, Belichick's locked in.
You think so?
Yeah.
The one that can leave if he so chose was Brady because he's a free agent for the first time in his career, and they cannot franchise tag him, which is the biggest, red flag that he might actually be able to leave. He also sold his house in New England and a bunch of other moves that, in his personal life that seem to indicate that he's moving on from New England. But I don't know, man. I have a feeling he's coming back.
I have a feeling he leaves, and I have a feeling Belichick goes somewhere else.
No, those guys are dude. That's
Belichick to the Cowboys.
No, dude.
Belichick to the Cowboys.
No, dude.
See, him and Jerry Jones would not get along.
No, it's not just that. It's just that it's not the same. It's not the same fabric. Like that's not. Those guys leave and they all leave. Kraft too.
Yeah,
Kraft will leave that to his kids or somebody else,
he fucking sells that shit
and
immediately.
he'll walk out.
He'll
And
go
Belichick
go get handies at the park.
Yeah, and Belichick will walk out and Brady will
Wow,
walk out.
I caught that. We're
No,
not gonna speak
Belichick-
by that one.
Belichick might go to the Cowboys as a president of operations, or he might go to, whatever. I don't know where Belichick's from, but wherever he's not Cleveland. I don't know where he's from.
He was born from a football.
Yeah, but whatever football stadium he was.
He belongs to the fields.
to the
He
field.
belongs to the field.
Wherever the hell he's from, or San Fran or whatever, he'll go somewhere. He might go that way, like to be front office. But he's not
Right.
gonna go. He's not going to go there. But that's what you took from this year from the NFL, because this is your second year.
Of actively watching it,
Of
having-
actively watching every game.
right?
And not just that,
Because
but
you
having
got vested interest in everything.
vested interest. So that's what did you learn? What did you take from it?
What did I take? He's from Nashville, by the way, so it's fitting.
Oh, there you go.
There it is. And he's already got his boy Vrabel there, so fuck it.
There you go.
If you can't beat him, join him.
It was all an elaborate plot, you see.
Yes.
The Titans are in Nashville. Yeah.
Well, Tennessee, but yeah, they are.
Yeah, no, I'm saying, are they in Nashville? Or?
Yeah, they're not.
No, just the whole state.
Oh, they're everywhere.
I'll
They play-
verify, but I'm like 90%
The entire state is just a
Yeah,
giant
because
state.
they're not in Memphis.
No.
No. So, so they're in Nashville.
No, I mean takeaways. My takeaways are that Flores is actually a great coach, and everyone who judged him too early, judged him too early, for lack of a better word. That guy turned it around hard. those
Also,
last
just to
five.
interject, they play at Nissan Stadium in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah.
We were right.
So I think that's one of the big takeaways. Stop judging. For me, right? It's like stop buying into the hype, or I guess unhype. The opposite of hype
Right.
of new coaches. Because I mean, you've said this before, right? When there's a new coach, there's a new system in play. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take some games.
In the NFL.
Yeah, in the NFL.
Just to mention, because I just got a Bleacher Report notification here. It's reported that Tom Brady does not plan on giving New England the old hometown discount. So if he goes to play for them next year, it's at full starting quarterback rate.
Yeah,
or at least whatever the market is for him at the time.
No, yeah,
Fucking told y'all.
and Kraft will give,
Which again, that would indicate that maybe there is a little something there, because traditionally Brady has taken pay cuts for the Patriots.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, but the Patriots isn't their cap space like fucking trash?
I don't know their cap situation, if I'm being honest with you.
I've heard that their cap situation is bad, and that's why Brady always takes pay cuts to keep the cap space, so they can keep getting.
Well,
better.
he
That's
takes
not the way
pay
that-
cuts.
that's not the way
so-
that works either.
No, the reason he takes pay cuts is so that they can splurge on other positions. So, like,
Sure, right.
Him
To make the other
taking
team
a
better.
couple mil less is probably why they were able to offer Antonio Brown a 1-year, $15 million deal.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they
Yeah,
probably
because
wouldn't
remember
do it.
that it's cap space is it's you would say virtual almost. It's not virtual, but it's what I'm looking for. It's not tangible, right? That's not telling you that that's how much money Robert Kraft has.
Yes.
You understand? Like
Yes.
that motherfucker could go and buy 3 more Patriots.
Yeah.
So he could just spend more money if he wants to. Because, like, this is why I tell you the other time that you just kind of laughed at me when I was like, they should sign him. It's just money. It's just money. So you sign Antonio Brown for $15 million, but it's going to cost you in the taxes. All right, pay it. So it costs you $20 million to get Antonio Brown.
Not to mention you can restructure deals in the NFL and all that stuff to like create cap space for yourself. Cap is usually not a huge issue when it comes to like NFL teams wanting to sign players to a certain contract.
Right.
Because there's always ways around that shit.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's not, and nobody minds having to spend this here, that there,
In order to get what you need.
because it's not like they're running out of money. I mean, they have all the money in the world.
That's the other thing, because you don't know what the fuck they're cutting in the back room either.
You do,
Right.
right?
You sign the $7 million deal, but maybe you wake up with a package that has another $10 million.
Right.
You don't know.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
That's why.
maybe it's all bonuses.
Right.
Maybe it's I'm gonna give you the signing bonus for 50 mil, but you're paid 7 mil, like that type of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's what
Well,
it is.
anyway, Brian Flores, I think, was judged ahead of time. I've learned this season to not judge people before you give them time to implement a system, because Brian Flores was balling toward the end of the season with Ryan Fitzpatrick and an anemic squad.
But
Dude,
Disney
they
said
are
that.
a roster devoid of talent.
Completely devoid
But
of talent.
remember
and then
what I
the
said-
couple of players that they did have that were great got injured.
Yeah. Well,
But
remember.
Disney said that though.
Remember what I said at the beginning of the year, because everyone pushed the panic button after that Baltimore game. Everybody.
Yes, yes, I know.
And I tried.
That's
I
what I'm
calmed
saying.
everyone down. Back when we were competitive, we were getting that type of score against the Ravens, so it didn't surprise me. The reason I told people to calm down is, well, one, it's football, so you know how hard it is to go 0-16 in this sport. You know how hard that is. It is harder to be consistently bad than it is to be occasionally good. That is a phrase that I heard when someone described the 0-16 Browns to me.
Okay.
And they're like, yo, this is unprecedented, because how do you go 1-15 and then 0-16? Because you're bound to get lucky every now and then, right? Like you look at the Dolphins and that Colts game that we won. That was luck, pure luck. The Jacoby Brissett just so happened to have some sort of injury, and they're like, we don't need to play you, and now all of a sudden we win by 1. Or no, excuse me, we won by 4. But it could have easily gone the other way had Vinatieri not missed an extra point here or a field goal there, right?
Right.
You look at that Cincinnati game. Like, I still don't understand how there was such an uproar when the Dolphins were essentially giving away assets. And it wasn't that we were giving away assets, it's that they were backloading all the assets.
Right.
So I'm going to literally give you everything of value I have now so that I have a ton of things of value on the back end, right, with these draft picks. So, there needs to be an investigation. What they're doing is morally wrong, this and that. Meanwhile, the Bengals went 2-14 with that squad.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how, because when I look at the Dolphins, that roster is devoid of talent. If it wasn't at the beginning of the year,
and the couple of players that were good got traded.
and not just that, you're talking about injuries.
Oh, and injuries
Because
too.
halfway
But that
through
was
the
later
year,
on. Yeah.
anyone that was of value was on IR.
Was IR they got traded. Look at Kenyon Drake blowing up in Arizona.
So, that was a roster that was devoid of talent, that if there was ever a team set up to go 0-16, it was that one. And this coaching staff, or at least this head coach, managed to get these gang of rejects to actually play up and win 5 games. Granted, he had Fitzpatrick, and Ryan Fitzpatrick does that. He'll pull those type of games out of his hat
Out of his ass. Say it.
out of his ass.
Say it.
Well, I was saying rabbit out of his hat, like, magician, but he pulled it out of his ass, and that's what happens, right? But look, I like Flores. I like him as a motivator, because that speech he gave after that Patriots game, I remember watching it and I'm like, dude, I would run through a wall for this guy, because he's perpetually like mad but motivating all the time.
Right.
He's like, we had some struggles beginning of the year, but this is the fruits of our labor, right? And it's only gonna get better. And I'm like, dude, I can see why the players played hard for him. Meanwhile, we look at the Bengals, a squad that I thought had talent at some spots and should not have been a 2-win team.
Really?
Yeah. You don't think the Bengals had talent?
Tyler
No,
Boyd.
I thought that they were going to maybe win 1 game, and they won 2, just because of where they played. Because everybody was stacked. Because we thought the Browns were going to be crazy good.
That's true. That's
So
true.
everybody being stacked and we didn't know Ben was going to get hurt.
Right.
So I thought they got to play the Steelers, and they got to play Lamar Jackson, and they got to play.
That's fine.
Browns?
But what I'm saying is, once the
That's
season
a
started
tough
rolling,
situation.
And I'm like, you got to play those guys 6 times.
and I understand that AJ Green was hurt the entire year.
Well, I have thoughts on that. I don't think he.
I'll get to that too, because I have my
Yeah.
thing on that too. So you look at the roster.
You'd be all right if
Andy
you smoked
Dalton
weed.
is not a bad quarterback. Andy Dalton,
If he smoked weed before he played,
He would have been
he'd be
fine.
all right. Andy Dalton's not a bad quarterback. Like
No,
I
he-
don't.
He's-
I want to. Like,
he might not
everyone-
be fantastic, but he's
not
serviceable.
a great quarterback.
He's a serviceable starting
but
quarterback.
he is average to above average.
I think he's right under that. It's sort of, you have the Bradys and the Mannings and
Yeah.
the Rodgers of the world,
Right.
and then you have the Ben Roethlisbergers of the world,
Right.
He's right under that.
Right. He's a game manager.
He's
He's
like-
like an Alex Smith almost.
And I think he's better.
Yo, yeah.
Like, I think he's like Dak,
Right.
right? Where if Dak shows talent,
Don't let what's his name, Colin Coward.
Colin Coward.
Don't let him hear you say that he's only
like,
there.
He doesn't like Dak.
He loves Dak.
He loves Dak.
He will suck his dick.
Well, I think him and
Him
Dak.
and Skip Bayless.
Yeah.
Skip likes him too.
Skip loves the Cowboys, bro.
Shit. Well, I think he's right in that level, right? Like I don't think he's Uncle Rico bad.
No, absolutely not.
I don't think he's what's the other guy that they had? Finally, they got rid of him.
Uncle Rico bad. Listen, man, that guy I like.
You're talking about Gardner Minshew?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's my boy.
Who's the guy
Uncle
that
Rico.
they had last year? That
Blake Bortles.
That finally they got rid of
Blake
that guy.
Bortles.
He's
Oh,
not
God.
that. He's not that
bad.
Bortles. You know what I'm saying? So I think he's right in that.
And Bortles won like 5 games last year.
Did he?
He did.
Because
I think
there's
Andy's
talent. There's talent. When,
Yeah.
So here's the thing: you look at Dalton. Not bad, not great, but he's average to above average.
Yeah.
But
Fair
then
enough.
you look at some of the weapons he has. Tyler Boyd is a legitimate number 1 receiver, and he's supposed to be the number 2 on that team.
Yeah.
He's got John Ross. John Ross came
He's
to his
good.
own this year, so he had 2 legitimate receivers. Tyler Eifert is one of the better tight ends in this game. I will admit they had deficiencies across their O line, so they could never buy him time. But then they got Joe Mixon in the backfield. That's one hell of a running back.
Yeah.
So you can compensate. We talked about how you can scheme certain things to make up for your weaknesses.
Yeah.
Go run heavy,
Right.
and that'll buy your quarterback time to throw because they're anticipating a run. And then you look at the defense. You got Geno Atkins. You got what's his face, the linebacker. God, he's escaping me right now. Preston Williams, I think his name is. Whatever. Point is, you look at that defense, and it's not totally trash either.
Right.
So I'm looking at it, and I'm going, man, there's no reason it should have been that bad. But they went like 0-4, 0-5, something like that.
To start? They were like 0-6, I think. or some shit.
Which is fine because they hit some heavy hitters in the beginning.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so there's that. But then all of a sudden, Zach Taylor, who I have serious doubts about as a coach, like from when he was signed, and especially after this year,
You're talking about the benching of Andy.
they bench Andy Dalton for Ryan Finley.
Who is easily the most trash quarterback I saw this year.
And the excuse I heard from the locker room was that we need to worry about the future. And we need to see what we have in Ryan Finley. They need to be concerned about the draft. They need to be concerned about the future. And I said, hold up. This is what's coming from the locker room. That's what the players are telling you. And I didn't hear a peep about them being investigated. Because at least when the Dolphins were, quote, tanking, anytime you ask someone in the locker room about it, they're like, no, we're trying to win games as much as possible.
No, you don't understand. We just played bad. Stop telling me.
We're just bad. And it's frustrating. You saw them, physically and emotionally get very upset when asked about it.
Of course.
And then with the Bengals, you got Andy Dalton talking about, oh, well, they're worried about the future and they're worried about the draft. It's like, this motherfucker just admitted that they're tanking. And then I'm not surprised because, after a couple games of Ryan Finley not playing well, we get the message, we get the notification on our phones, Andy Dalton back at starter. And you know why the fuck that was? Because the GM's like, listen, motherfucker, to Zach Taylor, you go 0-16, you're not going to be here next year. So then he's like, fuck, all right, give me the best chance to win. And he put his quarterback back in. But we alluded to AJ Green. AJ Green was told not to come back.
Absolutely.
He said, we're tanking. Take all the fucking time rehabbing you want.
Yeah.
Because that dude's always had that type of injury.
AJ Green did what Antonio Brown could have done. Antonio Brown could have pulled it off. Oh, I'm injured. I'm sorry, not Antonio Brown. Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah, sorry. Confused my Steelers there. Le'Veon Bell, which is, listen, man, say you have a knock, say something, and just keep your head down.
Because
and chill.
It's no coincidence. The same week that AJ Green's scheduled to come back, that's when they announced the switch to Ryan Finley, and that's when all of a sudden
AJ Green's like, oh, you know what, my ankle, I
suffered a setback.
I don't feel too good about my ankle.
And I'm like, if that's not the most fucking like harebrained scheme I've ever seen in my life.
AJ Green's not signing with the Bengals. Let's be
he's
not
out
renewing.
the fucking door, bro. There's no way they keep
Andy
him.
Dalton,
unless they franchise him.
I think Andy Dalton gets traded.
Of course, because now they're gonna draft the Joe Burrow kid.
Probably.
No, for sure. That's a throw.
It's a shitty situation, and I think they have talented receivers.
They do,
because they had AJ Green
at full strength,
Tyler
AJ
Boyd,
Green, Tyler
Auden
Boyd,
Tate,
John Ross, Tyler Eifert, and then Joe Mixon in the backfield. And you telling me that squad won how many games?
Well, that brings me to the reason why I asked you that question, because what you could tell this season is that experience trumps talent.
Yes,
in any situation, every situation. In reality, skill trumps talent. But you get skill by experience, by doing it over and over and over and over again. Right? You can have you can have a really fast, hard punching boxer, but if you put him up against somebody that's old, experienced, and Manny Pacquiao, they're gonna lose because that trumps talent.
Right.
So you can have all the talent you wanted there. If that coach didn't know what to do with it,
it doesn't matter.
Michael Singletary was one of my favorites, and he had basically the same squad that Harbaugh got.
Yeah, virtually.
And Harbaugh took him to the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like you could call him, you could name all the guys, but especially in the NFL, you could put an all-pro team together if you want. If you don't know how to call plays.
Oh, which perfect transition into this. This year in the NFL, more than any other season prior, showed me. And I'm gonna quote Kanye loosely. Y'all remember when Kanye lost his mind on the St. Pablo tour, and he's like, "Feelings matter, bro." Okay, coaching matters, bro, because you had an all-star squad in Cleveland, but you had the worst head coach I have ever seen in my life. Freddie Kitchens was the worst coach I think I ever had the displeasure of watching on my television, because he consistently ignored the run. He consistently dropped Baker Mayfield.
Having Nick Chubb back there.
Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt?
And Kareem Hunt. Well, Kareem Hunt halfway through the season.
Okay, but still, man. It's not like he started running once he got Kareem Hunt.
No, right.
You know?
No, and Nick Chubb, even with Freddie Kitchens, Nick Chubb still put up pretty good numbers.
Decent numbers, and they weren't going to him often, because I guarantee you, if I pull up the numbers right now, his average yards or his average rushing attempts per game were well under 20. I would bet under 15. But they would ignore the run game a ton. They would then also do, and this is why Baker ultimately had a bad year. They were having Baker drop back 7-step, 5-step drops, throwing deep. And it's like, that's not how.
Yeah, but I also think Baker Mayfield is terrible at going through his reads.
That guy had a bad year because he's trash, like I told you last year.
No, I think he's terrible going through his reads. He likes to throw to his first read.
You know what happens with Baker? That he's a product of technology. When Baker was growing up, he's
all right. Old man yells at clouds.
I was gonna say,
yeah, he's a product of technology. He grew up watching Brett Favre and watching those guys.
Right.
Because he was able to. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Is that you guys really think Baker was the problem with that team?
I don't think Baker was the problem.
I don't think that Baker was a problem with that team. I think Baker's trash.
He's just trash.
I think he's
on a separate note.
Average.
No, I think Baker didn't help. I'm not gonna say he's trash. I'm just gonna say I don't think
have put Peyton Manning on that squad, and if he ran the plays that Freddie Kitchens told him to run, still wouldn't have worked.
Yeah,
in fact, Peyton would have been like, "Nah, I'm changing every play at the line." Like,
well, that's the.
So you can argue that Baker is a second-year player that doesn't have the fucking discipline of going through all his progressions, because that's absolutely true. But good coaching fixes that.
Right.
You know, you can say Baker is not.
Good coaching doesn't fix that. What good coaching does is that it knows how to work around it. They didn't know how to fix that with Brett Favre.
That's true too.
You understand? He never went through his reads.
Except Brett Favre never gave a fuck.
But that's right. He doesn't give a fuck. He never went through it, right? But somebody said, "All right, fuck it. He's not gonna go through it, man. We gotta do something else." And then they figured out how to make it so that do you, but we gotta set you up here. Which that's what's good coaching, right? And that came from George Seifert and those guys. Not George Seifert, before Bill Walsh and those guys in San Fran, where you had. I think Brett's quarterback's coach was John Gruden, and then the guy that was there in Green Bay, that Mike Holmgren and those guys. So that comes from that coaching school where it was kind of like a Phil Jackson, kind of like a coach the attitude, don't coach the fucking they're here because they already learned how to play.
Right.
Like you're not teaching them how to play.
Yeah.
Because they're here already. You're not coaching college football. So kind of like that Phil Jackson style of coaching. But to get back to the Baker Mayfield thing, I told you last year, I go, the only one I haven't watched too many of these young guys. The only thing I watched from this kid from Buffalo was the highlights. I'll also because he played for Wyoming and nobody watches that shit. So, but the only thing I watched was the highlights.
Yeah.
And I told you that's the only quarterback ready NFL.
And you were wrong.
No.
Sorry.
Oh, who else was quarterback ready? Who else
No
was
one was
NFL ready?
That draft, no one was quarterback ready.
He's NFL ready.
He's not.
Of course.
Body maybe, but his mechanics are all off.
No.
His mechanics are all off.
No.
He's a glorified running back.
No.
He's a People want to talk about Lamar Jackson being a running back. Josh Allen is a running back.
No, you know why? Because you have to fit him in the box that they've shown you. You know what that kid does that no other NFL quarterback that's 3 years does?
Well, it's his second year.
Right, but I'm talking about 3-year ones. None of the three. Because once you get into after 3 years, you're probably out of the league.
Yeah,
you suck.
That's the league average. That's
you know
the league average is 3 years.
If it's 3 years, if you didn't make it in 3 years, you're probably out because you suck. But if not, then you're Blake Bortles. So right. you can stick around.
At which point you trick people into thinking you can be a game manager.
Exactly. But you know what that kid does? The thing with that kid is that if you I would tell him Ryan Tannehill somebody needs to give that kid a chance. Right? Because I don't feel like he's got the chance he deserves. But Tannehill is really good at following instructions. He's excellent at that, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Part of the reason why he gets clocked when he gets sacked is because he's following instructions. Yeah. I'm going to go through read 1, and I got to go through read 2. Even though there's a guy coming 100 miles an hour, he's like, but I got to
do my reads, got to do my reads.
Yeah, he's like, but I got to go to read 2. I can't go to read 3 yet. Yeah. Even though 3's open. And the guy's coming at you 100 miles an hour. Right. And he's like, but I got to go to 2. So he gets clocked. And that's a rookie mistake. Typically, young quarterbacks do that. Right? Now we see that Tannehill does that, period. But
that's just his
and Tannehill was not held by the coaching staff.
Right, but we talked about that. He wasn't held by it. But now we know, well,
that's just who he is.
Just, he's a good student. He's going to do what the teacher tells him to do. Right?
Right.
Then you have the opposite end of that, which is Baker Mayfield. I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, but you're 20. I don't care. All right. So that's what happened to Brett Favre at the beginning, right? All right, go to Atlanta and go suck dick for 3 years.
Want to see me throw a pick? Want to see me do it again?
Want to do it again? Right. What I see this kid do is that this kid, which is something that's why I say quarterbacks are within the first 3 years that you typically don't see do. I saw Lamar doing it twice. And since he only did it twice, I was like, I'm not going to give you credit for it. Because I don't know if it's a mistake.
What?
Is that they throw the ball away to where the person is.
So they don't get called for the intentional grounding.
And I'm like, that's a veteran move. Right? That's something that you don't see. Usually you see intentional grounding and you understand it.
Right.
You understand? Now, what you saw was a fucking knucklehead. Right? You saw him in his second year. You know what he looked like? Like a second-year quarterback.
Yeah.
Right? But that's why I told you, I was like, that guy's the one that's ready.
I think he still has a ways to go. He's still very raw.
No, of course. But from that group, right? From that group, Right?
I can see what you're coming from.
You know what I'm saying? Because Baker is what Baker is. Baker's not better or worse than he was last year or anything like that. It's just that that's what he does.
Right.
He runs around, he throws it, he does this, he makes shit happen. When
Do you think seeing that they both came from the same place? Do you think Kyler Murray is also trash?
No, he's not.
Kyler Murray?
Different quarterback.
No. Yeah,
Kyler Murray's good.
I didn't.
You know what
no,
Kyler
I think
Murray
he's
has
good.
that
I
Baker
think,
doesn't? Kyler can actually run a fucking system.
Yeah, he can. Kyler's the.
I like Kyler Murray. That's
So
why. It's just
Kyler-
last time I chose a rookie quarterback, he turned out to be shit. So this time I
Kyler's
wanna
the
pick a good-
balance of making it happen and following instructions. So he's going to give you that balance. You know what I mean?
Let me take this back. Coaching matters.
Well,
When Baker was at Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley's one hell of a coach. So you got a Heisman year out of him. The moment Baker got drafted into the Browns, what did I say? Because Eric was like, oh, you were high on Baker. I'm like, I was. Then he got drafted by the Browns. Now I don't know. Because that kid needs structure. You had Hugh Jackson the first year, Freddie Kitchens the second year. If they fuck up the third hire, then that's it. That kid's career is done. Because he's not going to... He needs a guy... He needs a coach that's going to like hold him accountable for shit. He needs a Brian Flores. Because Brian Flores had 2 games of Josh Rosen and was like, nah, you out of here. You need that guy. Baker is a problem child.
Yeah.
He had Lincoln Riley. Lincoln Riley got the best out of him.
right.
Baker needs a good head coach.
Yeah, he needs Harbaugh.
Right. He needs
Harbaugh.
exactly. He needs Harbaugh. That's
Harbaugh.
what the fuck he needs.
Yeah, he's Harbaugh.
He had what's his face? I always forget his goddamn name. Dude looks like a bulldog on the field. He was the 49ers coach before.
Singletary.
Singletary.
Yeah.
He had Singletary. They need to get a Harbaugh this time around. Because if you get a Harbaugh, you'll get the best out of him. With Kyler, it's a different situation. Yes, he comes from the same school, and I guess you can make comparisons, but Kyler is a much better player than Baker ever was.
Okay.
Kyler's the balance, right?
Yeah.
My problem with Kyler is that his size.
You're right. He's
That's my
short.
problem
He's
with
short.
it. So I don't know how strong he is, right? Because you could build size, right? You can get bigger. You're limited in quarterback position now how big you can get, but you can get bigger. Now that's going to depend on how strong he is. I don't know how strong he is. If he's a fragile quarterback, Carson Palmer was a big quarterback, but
He was
fragile,
fragile as shit.
right? But he was a big quarterback, but he would get hurt all the time. So with Kyler, I don't know if he's going to get hurt playing with those, because the NFL is a lot faster now. Too.
Or if he's
We're
like
gonna
a
see.
3-year-old toddler who can fall off a tree and be fine.
I'm
right
telling
after.
you,
Right.
Kyler is gonna come down to durability. But I have no question marks with the neck up or the neck down. He can make all the throws.
Yeah, no, he can
run
play.
any scheme
He
you
can
throw
play.
at him. He can
He can
make
play.
any audible at the line. He's a much better player coming out of college than Baker was. The only problem Kyler had was height. And look, he found a coach that was willing to deal with it. So we'll see. Jalen Hurts coming out now, also a Lincoln Riley guy
Product.
coming out of Oklahoma. I think he can be pretty good, and he's actually got size.
Size,
right? He's
yeah,
like
yeah.
6'2",
Yeah,
6'3".
he's a big dude.
So he's bigger, but coaching matters.
Right.
Lincoln Riley had 3 quarterbacks in 3 years, made it to the college football players every year, and he got the best out of those quarterbacks that he had because coaching matters. Look at the Steelers; they lost Big Ben. Everyone thought it was over. They ended 7-9, 8-8,
yeah, because they're
because coaching matters.
So
bro.
now with that,
And
with
even with that fucking train wreck of a quarterback that is Mason Rudolph.
right,
so with that said,
between him and Devin Hodges,
Yeah.
so with that, this brings us to another. It's sort of another topic, but it's not really. But it's kind of like what I wanted to get to, right? Because what I got out of the season is experience trumps talent anytime. If you have skill, that's going to trump talent because we see it all the time. Yeah. You can have raw talent coming out of college, and when you make it to the pros, they're gonna dissect you. They're gonna tear you apart.
yeah.
So I'll switch the conversation a little bit. And I say this because I've seen this happen before, so this is where it's going. Do you think US is making a big push on soccer?
Okay.
A really big push.
Yeah.
And we influence everything, right? Man United has fucking Chevy shirt on, right? The schedules for the teams are now based on US. The schedule for the teams are now, well, we play this time, we play this time, we play that time.
Yeah, there's less games at 5 in the morning.
You
There's
understand?
no games at 5 in the
There's no
morning.
games at 5 in the morning.
Like, but that's not even, dude. Back in 2015, not even too long ago, I would wake up at 5 in the morning just to catch games.
Right. Yeah, no. That's what I'm saying. So they're making a big push. With that, you can. These people were here the other day. They're doing a U.S. tour, but they were here in South Beach the other day, Premier League mornings.
That's right. Yeah.
So with that said, do you think that U.S. influence might ruin some of the play?
Absolutely.
Here's what I mean by that.
Absolutely.
Here's what I mean by that.
Goddamn infidels.
Here's what I mean by that, right? Baseball is very, very almost natural in the way that the game is played,
Right.
right? It's just this is just the way it is. They made some changes because of safety and stuff like that,
Right.
but typically this is the way it is.
It's just tradition.
This is
Yeah.
the way it's been played since the beginning of time,
Right.
right?
That's how.
Nobody. All right, we'll embrace technology. We'll do some replay and stuff, but that's right. But football, American football, is very almost. I almost look at it like U.S. controlled. Like we do. I don't care what you like about the game, and I don't care what you like about the sport. I don't care what you care about the athletes. We're gonna run it like this.
Right.
And now you're seeing that, right, where he tells you coaching matters. So in essence, the employee doesn't matter.
It's
the
coaching.
corporation matters, right? The team matters. The
It's
employee
very-
doesn't matter. The player doesn't matter. You don't like it? You don't like it here? You don't like what we're paying you? Get out. We'll bring somebody else. Because it's like a factory. So also, I don't know how you're enjoying the playoff setting, right? As opposed to the round robin, right? You have a playoff setting, right?
Yeah.
Oh, it doesn't matter what the regular season is like.
Well,
just get us in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, I think soccer's a little bit different. And
It is.
It's a little bit different because it's such a big game around the world. Because
It
baseball is a huge game on this hemisphere.
But we're not looking at. You have to look at this. Baseball's a huge sport in this hemisphere. Soccer is a world sport.
It's not
that
like
is being right now influenced by US.
Yeah, but I don't think they're not going to do playoffs.
I don't think they're gonna- I don't-
that's sacrilege for that.
It's sacrilege for that. And again, we might not see it, right? So it's not our problem. Kind of like the some of those comedians are like, who cares about global warming? That's my grandkids' problem. That's not my problem, right? But do you think that some of it might get influenced in there just for the sake of ratings?
Yeah,
Because they really like having all of the US tune in on the weekends.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this
and
much.
spend money on those shirts.
I'll tell you this much. You're going to see a lot more VAR reviews, in-depth reviews, if the U.S. gets this way. The U.S. as a whole loves that. Oh, it's the refs. The refs called this drama. They love that shit.
Well,
They love in every sport.
the what?
In every sport. This is going under review, which we're seeing now with VAR in Europe. But what you're not seeing is overturning calls.
Well,
Right now in Europe, you have VAR, which is video assisted refereeing. It's basically what the NFL does, right? Like we're gonna review the play.
You got a big man in New York that's watching the game
Right.
from his little screen.
Well, they have like 17 dudes in a tiny closet, and they're looking at every possible thing.
But the reason why I say it because
It's 2020, man. It's time to come out of the closet.
you know, say come on now. No, but the thing is that you have that influence
We do.
of US.
We do.
pushing in because the money's big.
You gotta put the VAR in.
The money's big.
The problem is that VAR right now is I'm gonna tell the main ref, right? Like let's say New York calls and tells the ref, hey, I don't think you called this right.
Right.
And then the ref decides I'm gonna enforce it or I don't.
Yeah.
Do you
I think the US is gonna flip that, and it's gonna be the refs are now gonna ask, and then the people are gonna say yes or no, and you're gonna start seeing a lot of shit overturned, but not in the sense like, oh, it's offside. You're gonna see shit overturned like that's not a red, that's a yellow, which is shit that we don't see right now. And that's going to bring a lot of drama, and it's going to upset a lot of people.
Do you think that the game itself is going to change? Because
I'm sure.
So, for example, the NBA changed because of ratings, right? The NBA now is not hard fouls because people wanted to see more offense.
Right.
People wanted to see more people playing offense.
Well, you're seeing that already.
Funny enough, you're seeing now.
You're seeing that already.
I know.
You're seeing that already, like in soccer, right?
Right.
It used to be a lot of this whole team. It's either the whole team is working together, and they're all at a similar talent, or you have a lot of teams that don't have attacking power, throwing themselves back.
Right.
And now you're seeing, it's just who can score more.
Right.
There's no more tactics. It's not like, which is funny.
Well, I was going to say, I think that might be one of the most direct ways that the U.S. influence is going to change the game because, let's face it, we like to see points.
That's what I'm telling you.
That's why baseball is so so many home runs now in baseball.
That's why it's the biggest thing.
That's why
Right.
basketball less
derby.
hard fouls because they want to see these
They wanna see
120
all-
games.
They want to see people scoring. They don't want to see defense.
there's a thing.
And at least with
So-
basketball,
so-
you're starting to see it backfire on them because ratings are actually down this year.
So TV rating. Well, they have to share some with they have to share some with soccer now too.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I'm saying because that's gonna give you.
I think
you're gonna start
yeah.
seeing that changing, right? Where we need to put some superstars.
Yeah.
and
Well,
we need to-
we're seeing that already, man. I think if it gets any worse than that, then I'm gonna fucking stop watching soccer. Because for
It's gonna
that,
suck. Because one of the things that I love about it, I love about that sport is the purity of it.
yeah, because it's
Like-
still it's very
Dude,
traditional.
We don't
Like
fucking stop. What clock? What are you talking about? What do you mean timeouts? Just play.
Yeah.
Just keep playing.
right. And recently, which is funny you mentioned that. Recently, as recent as 2014, they implemented water breaks, and that was a huge thing.
That was
Really?
yeah.
They were like, "Yo,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can't
that
be
whole-
you can't be stopping the game."
Meanwhile, every American sport is like, oh, here's 100 different commercial timeouts.
Or
Right,
substitutions.
commercials. There's no commercials in the middle.
Right.
That's why I tell you, it's let's play. I know that I'm gonna watch a soccer game. I'm gonna watch 90 minutes and I'm gonna go home.
Right.
Because there's no commercial. There's no timeout.
Yeah.
It's just play. 3 substitutions in the game. That's all you make.
Right.
Right. 11 fucking people. Well, use them wisely.
Use them wisely.
Right. So that's what I'm like. I don't want that influence to go in
Why? Yeah.
because then it becomes a product
Of course.
and not just what you enjoy and what I enjoy.
I think what we can all agree on is America ruins shit sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
And we need to stop.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm really hoping that there's not like a huge vested interest for like Americans in soccer. I hope it doesn't corrupt the sport because I don't even watch the sport that much. But even I can look at it objectively and be like, oh yeah, we'll change the fuck out of this.
Oh, if you watch the MLS,
because I can tell you every little thing that will probably change if you want an American.
if you watch the MLS, that's America's version
right.
of soccer,
And it sucks.
It is that.
It sucks so
playoff.
much that it used to be penalties. Traditionally, there's a ball
Right.
and they kick it into the goal. No, there's a ball and you're 15 yards out
Right.
essentially up to 50 meters, 15 yards out, and it's a goalkeeper and you kick it and that's it. The U.S. in the 1980s was like, nah, fuck that shit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have that dude run with the ball, and the goalkeeper can come out whenever the fuck he wants. So it was like this whole different thing, and obviously it didn't work out. But
Right.
that's the U.S. being like, how can we make this more marketable? How can we make this more exciting?
Of course.
And the fact that people are eating up the MLS. Oh, we want to see the MLS. We want to see the MLS. We want to see the MLS. You're like,
There's people excited about. I mean, we have a coworker
Yeah.
who's like excited about Atlanta,
yeah.
right? Which is, if you would have told me 10 years ago, yo, people are gonna be excited about the MLS, I would have laughed at you because it wasn't like that.
If
And you're seeing
would've told me
massive
that,
growth.
if you would have told me that 2 months ago, I didn't know Atlanta had a team.
Fair enough. But what I'm saying is,
enough.
it's growing. So yeah, I can see.
Only
how-
reason I fucking know is because they've been mentioning it on the fucking radio.
Because of
now.
Miami FC
Yeah.
coming just now. That's what I'm like.
Inter Miami.
Into Miami, sorry.
How dare you?
Oh my god. But that's why.
But I'm telling you, it's already happening because, dude, you used to not hear a peep of soccer on local.
And
sports
now
talk radio.
it's everywhere.
And now you got whole segments dedicated
And
to
now
it.
they're playing at different hours, and that's affecting players. And that's they played at fucking times that you're like, yo, these guys just finished partying from fucking New Year's, and I'm like, that's gonna
Yeah.
That's gonna happen, and I see how they're gonna want to open a channel so that stars, people that are already stars, come to play here.